I want to welcome everyone to another installment of the SportsRap podcast right here on Heat 100 Radio, heat100radio.com. You can get us on the TuneIn app as well. Just search Heat 100 Radio. But you know where we are all the time. Facebook, SportsRap Podcast LLC is the group page where you can get me there. Also, Instagram at SportsRap CEO. There, you can get me live there, simultaneous there. So, you know what goes down. Today is Monday. Yesterday was Selection Sunday. We know that. I told y'all all about that. And we saw what happened. So we're going to definitely talk some NCAA tournament. It's March Madness. Like I said, this is one of my favorite times of the year. Other than the NBA playoffs, this is March Madness is like right there. So they're like neck and neck. For me, as far as my favorite times of the year, sports times of the year. We will also, let me see, I'm definitely going to talk some Shawn Kemp. You heard about the incident. I posted it. Maybe a couple updates on the John Morant situation. And like I said, talk some Sixers as well. Big win yesterday. Huge win the other day against Portland. So we'll probably backtrack a little bit there. We're going to talk a little bit about the Sixers. And we're going to talk a little bit about this Joel Embiid thing. Although he has recently been stating that he's not really concerned with the MVP as much anymore as long as the team keeps doing what they're doing. And I kind of hear what he's saying. But, you know, deep down inside, after being shunned 2 years in a row, it's still a little piece there. You know, it's hard for me to not believe that there's still a little piece there. But, you know, he's just doing it now non-vocally. He's just doing it by his actions. He's showing what he can do on the court. And I'm going to go through some stats for y'all later on in a little bit when we get to that. So you know how we kick it off here. You know, news, updates, and then we get some scores and whatever, and then we get into the meat of the show. And like always, you know how it goes down. When you tune in on Facebook, I will see people, you know, they give me the number of people that are tuned in, and everybody comments. I know y'all do because I hear y'all and I see y'all and I read y'all comments on there. But like always, when you comment on Facebook, please put your name in your comments and let me know who you are so that I can do like always and give you your proper shout outs. Instagram, pretty simple there. When people join in, I usually wave at you and then I try to jot your names down so I can get a hold of you and give you some thank yous and some shout outs later on. So let's get to it and do what we do on this Monday, March 13th, 2023. Lonzo Ball is set to have a third surgery. So in essence, he is shut down for the year. Initially, when I was going through these notes and I got this story, it said Kevin Durant was allegedly going to miss about 4 to 6 weeks. Just recently, so I think it was as soon as Thursday or Friday, maybe, where they said it might be like 2 to 3 weeks now. So we'll see what happens. The Grizzlies center Steven Adams is set to miss the remainder of the season. Like, it's a lot going on. Like, it's just one big bomb that just hit the Grizzlies, and you know, but that, like that cliche saying goes, when it rains, it pours. So, see what happens with them and their playoff run and their playoff chances, and then with their players and other things, all the issues that they've got moving forward. Ex-NBA great Shawn Kemp was arrested in a drive-by shooting allegation. We'll talk a little bit. I got the article. We'll talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about Joe Mixon too. I'll give you the headline here. Joe Mixon, he shot at a teen outside of his house, and allegedly the teen, or reportedly the teens, were just playing Nerf tag, maybe Nerf gun tag, and he shot at them with a legit firearm. And this is like right after the John Morant issue story and hit. Morant won't be charged. A citizen Colorado, they won't charge him. If you didn't know about this situation, you know what happened. We flashed a gun, and allegedly he was in the nightclub. And like I tell you all the time, when stories like this come out, the more and more the days go, more and more stuff gets leaked out. So as recently as yesterday, I saw social media pictures, a leaked picture of him in the alleged strip club where he was, at the same strip club where he at some point flashed a gun. And then, you know, they put all the business out there. Allegedly, he spent $50,000 in the club and yada, yada, yada. But like I always tell you, when stuff like this comes out, you get what they want to tell you first. And then little pieces and more pieces of the puzzle and the story come out as the days go on, as the story progresses. It happens all the time. So just stay tuned. But again, he will not be charged in Colorado for that incident. The Jets believe they are close to signing Aaron Rodgers. And if you've been following me, and I know you have, you saw the things that I've been posting with all the free agents and all the players getting released. And some of the names are like names that you would be surprised at. Some are not. But I did notice also that the Jets have done some things. They've made some moves. And all these moves are allegedly or reportedly behind the fact that they feel that they are close to making a trade with Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see what happens with that. Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim retires after 47 years of coaching. Great job for him. He's been there, like we said, 47 years. And 47 years coaching college basketball for the same university, the same team is a long time. It's a great feat. They hired a new coach, but they kept it in the family, so that was good. But yeah, just kudos to Jim Boeheim, man. It's been so good for him that even in the basketball tournament, the $1 million tournament, they have a team they call it Boeheim's Army. So they have a team in dedication to him, and it's all his former players like that. So glad to see that tribute, and now it can really truly be a tribute with him retiring at the end of the season. My North Carolina Tar Heels. Not a good look. Not a good scene. I kind of accepted it last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, that we were probably not going to make the tournament. And a couple games late in the season, they kind of gave me some fool's gold where I kind of went on the vibe of, okay, they got these 2 games. If we do well, or if we even somehow win the conference tournament, might be able to sneak in. Fortunately, didn't work out that way. So somebody just typed in, keep up the good work. Great work. Let me know who you are. I'm guessing that's either Lowell Rich or Nate, but somebody let me know who you are to just type that in on Facebook. So I then realized that wasn't going to happen. But then I was like, okay, well, yeah, it might not happen NCAA, but, we can get NIT, play for something. Well, turns out North Carolina has opted to skip the NIT and focus on, I knew it was one of you guys. Thanks, Rich. Appreciate you. They're skipping the NIT and they're focused on moving forward. What this kind of leads me to believe is that they are just as surprised as a lot of other people outside of the actual team in general are with the season, the way the season went. You bring back 5 starters from last year and you can't get the job done. So a lot of things need to be talked about, a lot of things that probably need to be done. And I think that's where they are, and they want to get to that ASAP. Not go into an NIT tournament with some uncertainties, some unsureties, some issues internally, if you will. And I don't mean them like major issues or nothing like that. I just mean like I think they feel that something's going on where they couldn't make the tournament in the way, again, like the way the season went for the most part of the season. And I think they want to get a hold of it early, get a grip on it, and get it started to get fixed early. What's good, Champ? What's good, Mighty IU? Good morning, good brother. So I think that's where they are. But again, a little disappointment there for me. Next person, good morning, bro. Was that you, Mighty, or was that somebody else? I see 3 people, so it's got to be somebody else. So yeah, again, surprisingly, no North Carolina in the tournament. Wow, it's going to be tough for me. No, it's not. I'm just messing with you guys. It's not going to be tough. Like I said, it's disappointing that they're not in it, but I understand how it happened. Let's see. Got some Instagram action here. J Blake 5, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you, good brother. Yeah, I realized it, like I said, before we even got into the actual tournament. But like I said, for a second, I felt like if we had a good run in the conference tournament, or maybe even have to win the conference tournament to get in, and of course that didn't happen. We saw that. But I'm still a fan. It was disappointing season for us, but I still got the girls. Oh, who's that? Is that Chuck or is that Chris? I feel your pain, bro. Yeah, Syracuse. I mean, it happens. It's just like I said. It's just unfortunate, a little bit of shocker, not shocker, a little bit of a disappointment for me because, like I said, I followed, so I knew what was going on throughout the season, and I knew once it got to the crunch time where we start really, really watching, I knew, oh my God, okay, Chuck, appreciate you, bruh. Yeah, so it is what it is. But on the other side, I got my North Carolina girls in it, so I got two teams to root for in the NCAA women's tournament. Of course, I got to root for Dawn Staley, Philly's own number one seed, overall number one seed in the women's tournament. I'm gonna give you all of those women's number one seeds later on when I get to the tournament. But again, the SEC champions, undefeated season, looking for a repeat as national champions, and we'll talk about that later on down the line. Lastly, in my news and updates, the Rams as the big trade. The Rams trading cornerback Jalen Ramsey to the Dolphins. In return, the Rams will get a third-round pick this year, number 77 overall, tight end Hunter Long, and I think some other picks are going to go to LA in that trade. Yeah, so those are your news, your scores, your news and your updates for today, Monday, March 13th, 2023. I'm going to jump into some scores for you right now. I'm going to go with the baseball scores. Spring baseball. So spring baseball is coming up. It's already March 13th, so it's like halfway through March. Baseball. Yeah, that's going to be a good one, Mighty. Garcia Davis. Definitely. Yeah, before I get into the scores, let's talk about that real quick. I am looking forward to that fight. I'm glad you brought that up. Appreciate you, and thank you for bringing that up, Mighty. I kind of don't know what to say, but I'm really, really looking forward to this fight. The last fight, Chuck, listen, it is what it is, so I'm waiting for that too. But like we said, that's one that I'm looking forward to, and I can't wait to get that, and then I can't wait to don't be scared. I think he can handle it. I think he can handle it. I mean, crazier things have happened, but I think he can handle it. No issues for me there. Moving in, let's get into these baseball scores real quick for y'all today. Spring baseball, like I said, baseball season should be coming. Will be coming up real soon. As a matter of fact, in about half a month in April, so we'll be getting baseball soon. Braves 11, Pirates 3. Red Sox fall to the Orioles 6-4. The Marlins fall to the Astros 5-1. The Tigers get by the Twins 8-7. The Red Sox and the Yankees play to a tie. The Blue Jays get by the Phils 8-3. Let's see. Yeah, the Nationals fall to the Cardinals 5-1. The Rays 10-4 over the Mets. The Guardians fall to the Royals 7-6. Another tie in spring baseball. The Angels and the White Sox tie at 1 apiece. The Dodgers get by the Reds 8-1. The Brewers get by the Cubs 5-3. Yeah, Chuck. Okay, BD. Let's see. The Brewers get by the Cubs 5-3. The A's fall to the Giants 4-3. Split squad, the A's second squad get by the Padres 8-6. Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 10-9, and the Mariners edge out the Rangers 11-10. In the NHL, the Bruins fall to the Red Wings 5-3. The Penguins in overtime beat the Rangers 3-2. Hurricanes get blanked by the Devils 3-zip. Golden Knights get by the Blues 5-3. In a close one, the Jets take this one over the Lightning 3-2. The Senators fall to the Flames 5-1. In overtime, the Coyotes beat the Wild 5-4. And also in overtime, the Predators over the Ducks 5-4. In the NBA, the Nets get by the Nuggets 122-120. The Cavs get by the Hornets 114-108. The Thunder beat the Spurs 102-90. The Blazers fall again to the Pelicans 127-110. The Knicks get by the Lakers 112-108. And the Wizards come into South Philly and fall to the Sixers 112-93. So, while we're there and we are at that game, we're going to talk a little basketball real quick. We're going to talk a little NBA. And we're going to stay right here. Sixers, Wizards yesterday, and I mentioned to you in the opening, I talked a little bit about the Sixers, and I said we would talk about them, and I told you how I would go through some stats. And I also mentioned how we're going to talk a little bit about Joel Embiid. And again, I know his most recent comments have been in sorts of him not right now not being too concerned anymore with the MVP. And I get where he's going with that, with the taste that he could have in his mouth, or rather the sour taste he could have in his mouth with the past voting and the way things turned out. The last two games that I've actually fully watched and intently fully watched him play against Joker, he outmanned Joker. He outdid Joker. The Joker is their team is right now they're slumping. I'm not saying that they're just done, but they're slumping right now, and then two teams are going in opposite directions. The Sixers are rising, Nuggets are slumping. Again, and just to add a little bit of fuel to the fire, just playing a little bit devil's advocate here, when we talk about the MVP and we talk about how the race and everything was, and we had the issue you saw on ESPN with Kendrick Perkins and JJ Redick, went through their thing about it. You can Google that and find that if you will, if you want. But the issue is, the voting, of course. One thing and the other is the issue is the voting, of course. Definitely is there. But one of the things that no one talked about, and again, this is just me, being me, playing devil's advocate, sparking something, throwing some embers on the fire, and getting another angle on the dialogue, another angle on the debate, another angle on the conversation. No one talks about the fact that Joker won 2 MVPs. In both of those seasons, he got swept out of the playoffs in the first round. I believe it was both of those seasons, but I know 2 seasons in a row, or 2 seasons, he's got swept out of the first round. And people will talk Sixers and Joel Embiid can't get out of the second round, yada, yada, yada. I get it. I understand it. I mean, I'm a Sixers fan. I hear Philly guy. I'm a Sixers fan. And it's tough. I get it. And like I said, I call a spade a spade. Yes, I want them to, at some point, hopefully it will be this year, get out of the second round. Show me that you guys are focused. Show me that you guys are dedicated to do something and improve. This is what I want to see. So again, I'm right there with a lot of people. Like, yeah, you can't get out the second round. Like, what are we gonna do? We got to get out the second round. We have to. But on the other side, like I said, the Sixers haven't been swept in the first round. They haven't been swept in the second round since they've been getting knocked out either. So, just a little something that I thought about, that I paid attention to, and I just wanted to bring up as I was discussing some things. So, we talked a little bit of Sixers, and we know now we are getting to the playoff push. The Sixers, I think, in their next 7 or 8 games, 7, or whatever the number is, it's only 1 game at home. So they got a tough road trip coming up. People were saying going into the second half of the season that they had the toughest schedule going into the second half of the season. And we'll see how they work out. They've been doing well so far. Again, I think last night was the first night that we actually saw Dwayne Dedmon. And I've been telling people for weeks now. When we got him, I didn't know initially that he was injured, but I did my research and I found he had a little hip injury. Then a couple games before this, the Portland game and another game, I saw him in uniform. And I guess he was getting the feel of it, whatever. And then he played last night. He ended up with like 10 points last night. But if you watch the game last night and you think about a lot of the things I said with the playing of Paul Reed and how you can play Paul Reed now that you have a Dedmon, and how you can possibly or arguably play Montrezl Harrell now that you have a Dedmon on the team. And I said, if you look at him play, he's a professional, he's a vet, so he can fit in and he can get some things done. So you'll see it more as the rest of the season progresses. But again, like I said, he gave us 10 solid points, some good solid minutes last night. And it was good to see him actually get on the court and play. So overall, Sixers are third in the East. right now at record of 45-22, which means, let me see, that's 67. So it's about 15 games left in the season. About 15 games left in the season. And a lot of these games for the Sixers are on the road. So it's a lot for them. At home they're 26-10. They're always good at home. But this year they're pretty decent, pretty solid on the road. 19-12 on the road. I mean, I'll take that. 7 games above 500 on the road. I'll take that going into the playoffs, especially with the way that they're playing right now. That's something that you can take and roll into the playoffs with. In their last 10, like I said, they are 7-3. They are on a current 5-game winning streak, and they're second in the Atlantic Division, only behind Boston. Right, but more importantly, like I said, third in the East. And I think it's going to bode well for them, because I think they would get like the Nets or maybe the Knicks or somebody in the first round. I think they can beat them in the first round. Even like they said, the Knicks have Jalen Brunson. He's hurt right now. He comes back, but I think we can beat them. So it's not too much of an issue. So moving on, like I said, the Sixers are doing pretty good. Like I said, I like what I'm seeing. Great game. What was it? Thursday or Saturday? I think it was Thursday. The Portland game. The game winner to come back in that game, and then the game winner by your team MVP, hopefully potential league MVP, Joel Embiid with that game winner at the late in that game. So since the All-Star break, these are some numbers for Joel Embiid: 27, 19, and 6, and this is points, rebounds, assists. 41, 12, and 5. 27, 12, and 2. 35, 8, and 1. 31, 6, and 10. 42, 5, and 3. 39, 7, and 4. And 39, 7, and 4. Those are the games since the All-Star break. His overall averages: 35.1 points, 9.5 rebounds, 4.4 assists. So makes a good claim. A very, very good statement for the MVP. I don't know how it's going to play out, but from what I've seen since the All-Star break from him, his domination and the way he's determined to dominate, I think it says a lot. And like I said earlier, I think he's now learning, and he's learned, and he's now beginning to just go out there and do what you're supposed to do. Just go dominate. It's something that Shaq said a few years back. It's like how he used to approach the game when he was that dominant center still playing in the game. He would say, look, I would look at certain rosters and say, oh, I've got this guy tonight. Oh, it's barbecue chicken all night. And Joel is finally picking that up right now where he is in his career. And he's doing that. He's been doing that, like I said, since the All-Star break. The lowest point total here was 27 points twice. Okay, Jay Blake says, and he's shooting over 60% from the field in that stretch. Absolutely, and that's thanks for that tidbit too, Jay. And the other scary thing is, I'm not sure, he's got to be shooting 80 something, close to 90 something percent from the free throw line, and that's the scary part, where he's not one of those bigs where if you think you can foul him, and he'll miss one or whatever. A lot of times, more than not, he sinks 2 free throws when he gets 2 attempts. So he's very good free throw shooting. You can see it in his game because he has the touch. So why wouldn't he be able to shoot free throw? So, it's going to be fun. Also, it's going to be interesting because when you think about the conversation and the dialogue that was had by J.J. Redick and Kendrick Perkins on ESPN, Kendrick Perkins made a lot of points that I felt were legit. I don't still fully understand where J.J. Redick's point was, and I'm not saying he was wrong in some of his points or whatever, but I'm still trying to understand where his points were and why he was coming at Kendrick Perkins in the fashion that he was, or in the manner that he was. When you look at the grand scheme of things, a lot of the things that Kendrick Perkins said were real legit. And I kind of feel a touch of a little bit of a way that JJ Redick, also being a former player, didn't really understand, or in my opinion, didn't truly understand what Kendrick Perkins was meaning when he said some of the things that he said. But again, I know face value from doing what I do here and doing homework and doing research that Kendrick Perkins made a lot of points. And like I said, it's just the thing with me. It's just me, where I feel like JJ Redick truly didn't understand where Kendrick Perkins was going with the statements that he made. But like I said, if that's on whatever, you can go Google that and check that out at your own leisure. But we at SportsRap, we're not really worried about that right now. So, Sixers, man, like, listen, it's a stretch. We will get to it when I take my first break, and when I come back, I'll give you the rest of the standings, the full standings of the East, and let you know, like, if the playoffs started today, who would the Sixers likely be playing. But again, it's a little tough right now, like I said, the last couple of years, because they now have that play-in tournament. But for the Sixers, where they are, if they stay there, they would get somebody that's already in. So it's like 1 through 6 is in, and then the play-in tournament is 7, 8, 9, and 10. So yeah, when I take a break, when I come back from the break, first thing I'll do is I'll give you the standings in the East, and give you like a potential opponent if this playoff started today, who the Sixers would play at that 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. But again, like, it's fun. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to bring some more excitement to the city, and give us a build up to the Phillies, because I know a lot of people are anticipating the Phillies. The moves that the Phillies made in the offseason, like I talked about with Rich last week, they took a page like almost out of the Eagles book, where they addressed, it's like they paid attention to what was going on in the World Series and during that run, especially in the World Series, and they addressed the things that they needed to address, and they addressed them immediately, and they didn't wait too long to address them like they typically do. So other moves they made, free agent signings and things of that nature. But again, like I said, they bolstered that pitch, and they bolstered. Now that, like I said, the Phillies now surprisingly have arguably 4, maybe 5 legit starters in that rotation now. And then they have their relief pitching, and they got some relievers, but they had some relief pitchers that were really good for them. But again, they had to be used more, and in situations that they were not comfortable in that World Series, because it was pretty much all we had. So they made the adjustments and got improved there. So again, hopefully this Sixers run will have some build-up into the Philly season coming up in April. Folks, I am not going to take my first break yet. I'm going to talk a little bit of John Morant, and I'm going to talk a little bit of Shawn Kemp before I do take that break. So again, incident that the first picture came out, we all know the John Morant issue. We talked about it last week, talked about it a week before that. But last week, it was the picture with the gun. So continually, like I keep telling y'all, more stuff comes out as we progress. Got to the picture. Apparently it was in a strip club. Picture was out. I saw the picture yesterday, other than the picture with the gun. Saw him, doing what people do in strip club. And again, these are the things that I consistently say on this show, on this platform. When you get to this level, or you get to a certain level, you have to be careful. And I'm not saying, look, people, you got to be a shut-in, you got to be an introvert, or none of that. I'm saying that as you get to certain levels, you have to be even more cautious of the people outside of your circle. Maybe not, but you got to be, let's say you got to be just as careful with the people in your circle, and even more with the people outside of your circle. And sometimes equally a lot on both ends, okay? But you have to definitely be aware of the people outside of your circle, because these are the people that are going to try to benefit and profit off of you. And like we said, this picture is now surfaced. And when you look, if you see the picture and you look at it, you know it wasn't somebody that was with him. It was somebody else that was in the club that took the picture. And of course, when situations come up, people go, oh, news, media, like TMZs and all of that. Look, how much you want for that picture? We'll give you this for that picture. This, that, and whatever. And people will jump at that opportunity. So again, I say, when you get to these levels, you have to be super mindful. You have to be extra cautious of the things you do out in public. And like I said, I'm not saying you have to be an introvert. You have to be shut in. But you have to be mindful, more mindful than the average person when you're out in public. Okay. So this was in Colorado, and for some reason, he's not being charged, but he's still going to be out away from the team. Now they're saying it's going to be about 6 games, I believe, that he's going to be away. And a lot of people in this story, and I didn't get to talk about this, but a lot of people in taking note with this story and taking, if you will, issue with this story, have mixed opinions about who's at fault. But I kind of believe, and like I said, we here, keep 100, station that keeps it 100. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I've been listening and I've been watching and I've been doing research, and like I said, I've been hearing things and everything, and I've been hearing a lot of different angles about who could be at fault for these situations. A lot of people saying his dad. People are just saying the people around him. But I still don't believe as of yet that I've heard people say him, the actual person. Now, don't get me wrong. I know Charles, when he was here, when he chimed in last week, he chimed in and messaged, don't blast Ja, but I'm not. I'm not blasting Ja. What I'm saying is accountability. Accountability stretches a long way. And it goes into everything that we've been saying for the longest time. Like I just mentioned to you, he has to be cautious and be mindful about things that he does in public. So, there is a part of this that he needs to be held accountable for, because of who he is. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that he has a role in it. It was his Instagram, so he has a role in it to play. And again, I'm not bashing him. I'm not coming at him. I'm just saying that accountability, where people are saying, oh, his dad has a part to do it. And I'm not disagreeing with that. Because I said it's a little bit of the dad. It's a little bit of people around him. I said several things. But I also, like I said, I have yet to hear anyone come right out, flat out, and say, where's his accountability? Has to be something on him. Somewhere down the line, it has to come out. It has to be some accountability on him as the person that posted the picture on his Instagram live. So we'll see. Nextly, before I get into the Shawn Kemp, like I said, right after this John Morant thing hit, I'm looking and I'm doing homework. I'm doing research as always. And then I see Joe Mixon's name pop up. And apparently there were some kids outside of his house, his residence. They were playing Nerf tag. The Nerf tag has the guns. The Nerf tag with this little rubber Nerf bullets or whatever. Apparently, he heard this or whatever, and he comes and he shoots at the kids or whatever, teens, with a real gun. I mentioned this to some people when we talked about it, and people said, well, wow, this and whatever. And I said, but here's the thing. I said it's right on the heels of the John Morant situation. And also, Joe Mixon has a history. Although his past was dealt with, if you will, it's still a history. And when you extend into situations like this where you do this again, or you do something similar again, I'm not going to say the way the system works, but the way they make the system work, they're going to revert back to that in his situation. So, for him, I don't know what's going to come of that. Like I said, I haven't heard much more about that, but I will do some research and see what's going on with that situation as well. But moving forward, former NBA star Shawn Kemp was arrested Wednesday and booked in Pierce County, Washington jail in connection with a drive-by shooting. This is in Washington State, if you didn't know. It's going on. This is Washington State. It said Tacoma police had an altercation between occupants of two vehicles near a Tacoma mall led to shots being fired early Wednesday afternoon. No injuries reported. One of the cars fled the scene, according to a release from the police department on social media. Gun was recovered, and investigation is going on. Shawn was booked on felony drive-by shooting charge, and local time about 4 hours after the incident. Shawn Kemp, if you didn't know his history, Shawn Kemp was a six-time NBA All-Star, 14 seasons in the league, 8 with Seattle Supersonics, formerly Seattle Supersonics, who selected him overall 17th in the 1989 draft. So, again, on the heels of the John Morant situation, but totally different situation here. Shawn Kemp, 53 years old. And let's start there. Before we even get into it's Shawn Kemp and whatnot, you just heard the situation. I just played it out for you. I just painted the picture for you. An altercation between occupants of two vehicles. Again, Shawn Kemp, 53 years old. Former athlete. Okay? And anybody that knows the NBA knows Shawn Kemp, knows the type of athlete he is. So, 53 years old, Shawn Kemp's got some aches and some bumps and some bruises. You ain't got no business in no altercations. And if you was 53, who were the people you were with that got into this altercation, that resorted to shooting? I'm going to go on a limb and guess that they were not 53 as well. I'm just saying. It's just my guess. It's where I am with it. Okay? It's just where I am with it. All right? But then we move on. Like, dude, you're Shawn Kemp. Again, you're not in the NBA anymore, but same situation I kind of said to some people about the Ray Rice situation. People know you who you are, dude. People know who you are. So now you're up for felony drive-by shooting. And I don't know what the limitations are, whatever the statutes are in Tacoma, Washington. But 53 years old, dude, not the time to be looking at doing some jail time. No way, shape, or form should you be doing anything that could potentially have you doing some jail time. But again, it's been done. It's been reported, so we've seen it done. I don't know what goes on sometimes in the heads of these athletes, current athletes, retired athletes. Like, again, like I said, I'm not saying that you got to be an introvert or whatever, but you got to be smart enough to know, or you got to be smart enough and pay enough attention to know when a situation is not right. When the situation gives you the opportunity to remove yourself from the situation before it goes left. Especially if you're at the level that they are. He was a superstar. Okay, he's a former superstar, like they said, former. But the whole point is, people still know who you are. People still recognize you. Okay? Same thing like the situation with John Morant. People, they see you in the club, whatever, they're going to take pictures. Everybody got a cell phone. Everybody got a smartphone with a camera on it. Everybody's going to take pictures. Everybody's on social media. Well, not everybody, but a bunch of people are on social media. People are going to take pictures. People are going to get on social media. People are even going to do live and have you in the background and say, oh, I was partying with whatever. So again, like I said, you got to be careful. You got to be mindful. And again, Shawn Kemp, 53 years old. I really want to know what transpired, what went on for there to be an altercation outside of a mall, nonetheless, in the daytime, in the afternoon, and then lead to an altercation, and then also progress into shots being fired. I mean, thank God no one was injured, but it's a mall, so like it's a bad situation, bad situation there with that. So, folks, I'm going to take my first break. When I come back, we are going to dig right into some NCAA tournament. Like I said, I'm going to dig into the NCAA tournament, the men's tournament, which we always cover here. Then, I always give you notes and tidbits as the women's tournament progresses, but I'm also going to give you the overall number one seeds for the women's tournament when I return. Folks, thank you everybody that tuned in this morning. Jake Blake, hope you come back. Mighty, Chuck EA, and Lowell Rich, hope y'all come back on the second half. Anybody else that didn't leave any comments, if you're there, make sure you come back in a little bit. You'll know when I'm up. Thank y'all. See y'all on the second half. Get right with y'all in just a minute. To the SportsRap podcast right here on Heat 100 Radio. And we're going to get right to this and get to what we need to get to, folks. Because, like, listen, you know what it is. You know what we do. And we are definitely going to get right into this NCAA March Madness. As we know, coming up, the exec, my guy, Jamal, all the way from OHIO. Thanks for tuning in, good brother. Good morning. So we are going to get into this NCAA stuff. But before, like I said, what I was going to do, told you what I was going to bring to you before we get into that. And I got it for you. Conference standings, NBA, East Conference, and Western Conference. We're going to start with the East. All right? And I don't have the records, the number of records. I just got the order right now because I mentioned to you who the Sixers would probably be playing if the playoffs started today. And I was right. It was the Nets or the Knicks. And if they started today, it would be the Knicks. And the Sixers would have home court advantage. They kind of need to stay where they are, 3-2. They don't need to fall any lower than 4 because they kind of want to get in that second round again and have home court advantage there too. So they kind of need to stay there. So here we go. In the East, you got the Bucks, the Celtics, the Sixers, the Cavs, the Nets, and the Knicks. The top 6, if they ended today, they are all in. Play-in tournament, Heat, Hawks, Raptors, Bulls. You know how that goes. 7 plays 8. The winner of that gets the 7 seed. The loser of 8 will play the winner of 9-10 for the number 8 seed. So if you lose that 9-10 game, you are just you-know-what out. All right, on the West, you got the Nuggets, the Kings, the Grizzlies, the Suns, the Clips, the Warriors, the T-Wolves, the Mavs, the Jazz, and the Thunder. T-Wolves, Mavs, Jazz, Thunder are all 4 teams in playing tournament in the West. Getting back to what I was mentioning to you also as well when I talked about the Sixers and the Nuggets and where they are right now. And I'm not saying this is where they're going to end. This is where they are right now. And as you see, the Sixers are in third in their conference. The Nuggets are still leading their conference. But nonetheless, where they are currently, let's go last 10 games. Like I mentioned to you before the break and when I talked about the Sixers and Embiid. The Sixers last 10 games, 7-3. Great record. A lot of those games were on the road. The most recent 5-game road trip, they were on 4-1 on that road trip. You got to respect that. You look on the other hand, and I'm just saying, just playing the numbers, all right, where they are, 10 games. The Nuggets, 6-4 in their last 10. Their streak. They lost 3. What did I say the Sixers streak was? I think the Sixers streak was like 7. 5 games. It was a 5-game win streak for the Sixers, and the Nuggets are on a 3-game losing streak. So that's where they are, and I just wanted to bring that to you and give you that up. And again, like I said, if the playoffs started today, Sixers would get the New York Knickerbockers in the first round of the playoff 7-game series, starting in South Philly at the Wells Fargo Center. So we move on to the biggest time of the year, second biggest time of the year, or my favorite time of the year, second favorite time of the year. NCAA March Madness. You got to love it. If you don't love March Madness, then you are not really a true sports fan. If you are a basketball fan or a college basketball fan or any type of basketball fan, you have to love March Madness. Biggest tournament, one and done. Since last couple of years, it's expanded into 68. It used to always be 64. It's expanded into 68. We're going to break it down a little bit, talk about it a little bit. So actually, tournament for me actually starts Thursday, Friday, when it normally starts with the games of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then ultimately the championship game is on a Monday. But now that they have these playing games, these games start Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'll give you those schedules in just a second. But before we get into the men's tournament, again, shout outs to Dawn Staley, SEC champs, 32-0, I think overall record, whatever, undefeated record. I don't have the exact number, but undefeated record. Overall number 1 seed in the women's tournament. Okay, in that tournament, they are in the Greenville Region 1, South Carolina, Greenville Region 2, Indiana, Seattle Region 3, Virginia, and Seattle Region 4, Stanford. So those are the 4 number 1 seeds in the women's conference. South Carolina, Indiana, Virginia, and Stanford. Again, like I mentioned to you, my guys, the Tar Heels, are not in it on the men's side, but I do have the Tar Heel women in it. They are the 6th seed in the regional Seattle Region 3. All right, so good for them, and I'll be rooting for them as well as rooting for SEC and Philly's own Coach of the Year, Dawn Staley. All right, so moving over to the men's side. Overall number 1 seeds in the men's. In the East region, Purdue Boilermakers. In the South, you got Alabama. Houston in the Midwest and Kansas out west are the overall number 1 seeds in the men's tournament. So again, like I mentioned to you, I'm a little disappointed, but I got to do what I got to do. And I know I understand where they are and I understand what happened, how it played out, and how they got to this point. Surprisingly, disappointingly, no North Carolina Tar Heels in this year's NCAA tournament. Like I said, it's going to be rough. But again, there's going to be some excitement. I know it. So I'll have some excitement. So it won't be a total loss. All right. And again, like I said, on the women's side, I got some things to look forward to on the women's side. I had Dawn Staley in the SEC, Lady Gamecocks, okay, South Carolina, and I got the University of North Carolina women's team. So I got some things to root for. But on the men's side, it's just going to be, for me, it's just going to be the actual play of basketball. I do pay attention to the big name colleges when it gets to the point where they could possibly be looking at an upset, and I pay more attention. But usually for me, when I like the tournament, like I said, if it was North Carolina was in, I'm definitely following them. Jay Blake is back. Thanks for coming back. I definitely would follow them because those are my guys. That's my team. I would follow, but they're not in it. So I'm going to just follow the basketball concept. And like I said, if it gets to the point where some teams that I know or some names and they look like they may get upset or for potential for an upset, then I'll pay attention to them a little bit closer. But starting this thing off, some Tuesday and Wednesday, we got Texas A&M, looks like Texas A&M Corpus Christi against Southeast Missouri State. And then we got Mississippi State and Pittsburgh. These games are on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we have Texas Southern and Fairleigh Dickinson and Arizona State and Nevada. All right, so the Arizona State-Nevada winner will get the 11th seed and face TCU in the West region. The winner of Mississippi State-Pittsburgh will also get an 11th seed. They will play Iowa in the Midwest. Texas Southern and Fairleigh Dickinson will get a 16th seed. They will play Purdue in the East. The winner there, and the winner of Texas A&M, CC, and Southeast Missouri State will play Alabama in the South. Both of those last 2 games that I just gave you will be both going in as 16 seeds. So we look at these regions, and I look at what I like to do when we get here to this point. We talk about it on the show. I like to see what the levels are and where the competition may be, or what the competition level is for the number 1 seeds in each region. And later on this week, I will post a bracket so you see the bracket before it gets started. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to try and get it done sometime today or maybe early tomorrow afternoon. I can have until early tomorrow to get it up because the first game is not until I think 6:40. So it gives me a little bit of time so I can get it together and get it up so you can see the bracket. But if not, I'll tell you where you can go get a bracket. Let's start in the South region. We start with Alabama. Great to see them as a number 1 seed in the tournament after we know the incident, and we talked about it a couple weeks ago here with the Alabama players. So good to see them back in this tournament as a number 1 seed, no less. And I also think that they set a record for team wins in a season this year at Alabama. So good for them. I don't know how easy this region is going to be for them. because Maryland has been playing good ball, and if they win, they should win the first round game. They would get the winner of Maryland, West Virginia, and Maryland being the number 8 seed in that game, 8-9 game. You got Virginia in this bracket as well with them. NC State. They could win it. I think they still could win it, but it's not going to be easy. But they could get a couple scares, and there could be a couple scares in this region. It's hard. So like I said, you got the 6-11 matchup between Creighton at number 6 and 11 and NC State. That could potentially be an upset. So that would be the South region. Moving on to the Midwest. Houston, there is the number one. I like what Houston's been doing all season. Houston looks like they may have a good route to get to the regionals. I see Miami in there in this region, the Midwest with them. Texas A&M, Xavier, Texas, Penn State, who's been playing well down the stretch. So, Houston here may have some little things on their hand. Again, I wouldn't be surprised in this 7-10, that being Texas A&M at 7, Penn State at 10. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw an upset there. I don't think we'll see one with the Miami and Drake. You could maybe guess one and go on a limb and stretch it and go the 8-9 Iowa-Auburn game and upset there. That could possibly be it in that region. Moving on to the West region, where Kansas, the reigning champion, is the number 1 seed. There, I don't know. Kansas looks like they may just have the easiest route to the regionals. I see Arkansas in the region with them, VCU, Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga in this region might be their biggest foe, unless UCLA surprises somebody at the number 2 seed and does some things. So it's going to be. But again, right now it looks like Kansas will probably have the easiest route to the regionals. Moving into the final region, the East region, Purdue at the number 1 seed. And if you haven't seen Purdue play, these kids are huge. Purdue is big. You talk about wanting to have size on your team, your basketball team. Purdue is the team to look at that has the size. Who do they have in there? They've got Duke in their region, Kentucky, Kansas State, Michigan State, SC, and Marquette. So, in my opinion, you could arguably say that this East region is the toughest region as far as the competition level, in my opinion. But when you look at it, the brackets are out now, so you can look at it. When you look at it, chime in on the bottom of this video as it'll be posted later, and let me know what you think. If you feel the same way I feel about this East region being the toughest as far as the competition level within the region. So, like I said, folks, it's disappointing to not have North Carolina in this. But you got some hometown favorites. You got Penn State in it. We've got some other issues, not other issues. Another point of note, in the city we pride ourselves on the Big Five. There are no Big Five teams in this year's NCAA tournament. Surprisingly, that's a real surprise. Like there's no LaSalle, no LaSalle, Temple, Penn, St. Joe's, and who's the fifth one? Villanova. None of those teams are in. Little surprise, yeah, but none of those teams are in. So, I think the tournament's going to be fun. It's always fun. It's always fun. Always fun, like I said. And it's one of the greatest times of the year. A lot of the women don't like it because it interrupts their soap operas. But, hey, it is what it is. So, again, games start tomorrow for the first 4. Okay, and 6:40 tomorrow on True TV. You got Southeast Missouri State and Texas A&M CC, and then at 9:40, same channel, you got Pitt and Mississippi State. And you got the other two games on Wednesday: Arizona State and Nevada, and Texas Southern and Fairleigh Dickinson, to move into the round of 64. So we all know it's going to be a lot of excitement. We are going to be watching basketball games all day. Pools are going to be crazy. People are going to be going crazy, especially if they pick upsets and their pool gets busted very early. There's going to be a lot of workplace pools going on. So enjoy it and have fun with it. Like I said, I'm going to really enjoy the games. I know I have a job to do to keep things updated, and I will do my best to do that for you. But I'm also going to enjoy these games. Again, like I said, you got games that will come on early in the day, noontime in the day, and go up until about 9, 10 o'clock at night. Okay, so get ready, buckle up, and get ready to enjoy this NCAA tournament, folks. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be exciting. Like I said, I'm got some disappointment because my guys aren't in. Again, none of the Philly Big Five teams are in. So try to make the best of it. Again, where you are going to see some really good basketball. If you can, and I know where we are in the NBA, and I know what the Sixers are doing right now. So I know for those evening games, if the Sixers are playing the same day or whatever, it's going to be tough. You may find yourself going back and forth. But I really do believe that you will fully and thoroughly enjoy the NCAA tournament, as always. You know, I don't think the tournament ever disappoints. Let's see. Jay Blake is giving me an upset. He's saying for Furman over Virginia, first round. Yeah, Kentucky Providence would be a good one. I'm anxious to see that one. Yeah, but you got that there, Furman over Virginia, huh? You think so? Hey, I mean, you never know. Strange, like I said before, stranger things have happened. But again, you will not be disappointed with this thing. It's a tournament. It's basketball. You're going to see some really, really good basketball. You will get to learn about some players that you haven't seen, that you haven't heard of. They will become names to you now. Some of them will even become household names. You will get to see teams that you have never seen that will impress you. You'll have players also that will impress. I mean, hence, look at Steph Curry. And Steph Curry got his name from Davidson in the NCAA tournament. Like, for the, if you want to call them like the mid-level college players or the almost stars, or the guys that are like maybe not the mid-level but a tier below that, but just right at the cusp, this is the perfect time. This is the perfect setup for them. I know a lot of players have developed throughout the season and got to this point into the tournament and made names and made careers for themselves just by playing in this NCAA tournament. So again, you're going to see some things that are going to really take you by storm. Again, like I said, with all these teams in it, and when you say you can put 68 teams together and these are the 68 teams that actually get picked, imagine how many teams don't get picked that could still possibly be good. But this is allegedly and reportedly the cream of the crop. 68 best teams coming into this point in college basketball right now. And we are definitely going to get a show. We are going to see some of the best basketball. Like I said, I know it's going to be tough if the Sixers are on, you're a Sixers fan, or if you're an NBA player fan and your team is on with the NBA and they're pushed to the playoffs because some seeding could change and all that other nature and whatever. But these college basketball games, I guarantee you, are going to be a bit more exciting than some of these games down the stretch for the NBA. And I'm not saying the NBA games are not going to be exciting, but these games are now, we're at that point, we're at that pressure point, the boiling point where it's one and done. It's not a playoff series like in the NBA, which they're getting approaching to. It's one and done. One and done. You lose, you go back home. You win, you move on. It can only be one undefeated team out of 68. There can only be one undefeated team to take it all and win the national championship. Folks, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to wrap up and get you guys out of here, get you guys on with your day and get on with my day. Again, thanks everybody that tuned in. My guy, the exec Jamal, thank you all, brother from tuning in. Again, like I said, all the way from OHIO. Jay Blake, thanks for coming back. And like I said, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to wrap up, give you some schedules for the day, and close out the day. All right? See you guys in a couple seconds on the other side. Be right with y'all. Peace.